So we're here in the iconic Enduro location of Finale Ligure in Italy, home of the Enduro World Series every year. And today it's time for another versus video. This time it's Enduro bike versus e-bike. So the Nuke-proof Mega, it has some history in this place. Sam Hill wrapped up the EWS Series last year in this very spot on this very bike. It's 165mm travel. I'm running flat pedals just like the man himself, and it's designed for this type of riding. It's got a carbon fibre frame, it's nice and lightweight. This is an all-mountain enduro killing machine. The track for today's test is one of the most photographed and videoed in the whole of mountain biking, and the final stage of the EWS in Finale, the men's downhill. It starts with a really mellow single track sprint through the bushes, but it soon opens out into super grippy berms and steeper chutes. These give way to gnarly rocky straights with massive holes, and it feels like you might just end up getting bucked over the bars and landing in the Mediterranean. A really mixed test of high-speed pedaling and super rough and tech descending, where grip stability and actually just confidence are going to make a big difference to the times. Okay, so I've sectioned the course. I know it pretty well anyway. I've ridden this a few times before. Now it's time for my first timed run, and I'm on the Enduro bike first, so here we go. So the Nuke-proof Mega to me felt really familiar. That's the type of bike I ride an awful lot, and actually the type of trail I really like to ride. Super capable, super light, and actually Sam Hill has proved its capability on that trail already. So I put down a solid run and a good marker for the e-bike to compete with. So onto the e-bike, this is the high bike Enduro. So this is 180mm travel front and rear, so I think that's probably gonna be a little bit of an advantage over the Mega. It's got an aluminium frame, but the geometry is actually really similar to that Mega, so it's definitely an Enduro e-bike. So to run to on the e-bike, on my high bike, with the motor on, it's definitely gonna help me out at this start, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna hit that speed limit for the pedal assist pretty quickly. So after that, it's all down to the bike and its performance itself without the motor. So let's get ready. So onto the e-bike where you get that lovely push of the motor, so you're up to speed really quickly. But I did find that almost immediately I was over the speed of pedal assist. So there were a couple of actually quite long, fast straights where the bike really felt sluggish. So on the Mega, it felt like I was still accelerating, but on the e-bike, it felt like I was just keeping my speed. But getting into the rough stuff, the grip really made a difference. The bike felt super stable. One thing I did notice is 2 or 3 actually quite steep chutes into really tight corners, and that's when the weight of the bike did become apparent. I had to try and predict those, try and brake a little bit earlier, but overall it did feel like I was carrying good speed. So the men's downhill stage in Finale does feel like a classic EWS stage, but you always ride a different mix at the Enduro World Series, so check out this to see some of those stages. But actually, what does the clock say? Well, on the Nuke Proof Mega, I did a 1:57, but on the high bike, I did a 1:54. So where did the high bike make those 3 seconds? Well, I definitely made a bit of time. I would say probably a chunk, maybe a second half out of the gate. But to me, it did feel like I lost that little bit on the fast pedaling sections. I think the lower 2/3 of the track is really where the e-bike came into its own. It's proper rough. The bike felt really stable, and actually the suspension works brilliantly, really taking out those bumps, but actually carrying speed very well as well. An interesting point for me was actually that I got 5th on Strava on that downhill track on the e-bike, which just goes to prove, I think, how capable e-bikes are of riding downhill. Don't worry, I'm going to delete that ride, so I know that Strava and e-bikes are very controversial. If you want to see some more videos, click over there for short travel versus long travel, and over here for Steve's video, downhill bike versus e-bike. Give us a thumbs up if you like these versus videos, and click on the link to subscribe if you haven't done already.